Welcome to the Gastro Girl Podcast. We bring together patients, experts, and health advocates who are all here to help you optimize your health. Here's your host, Jacqueline Gaulin.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Gastro Girl Podcast. I'm Jacqueline Gaulin, and today we sit down with Mel, an award-winning dog enthusiast from the Tampa, Florida area who has earned more than 40 American Kennel Club titles with her beloved Schnauzers. Behind the medals and the ring, Melissa is also living with a permanent colostomy, a challenge she refuses to let define her life or passion. Whether you're a dog lover, someone navigating your own health journey, or simply in need of encouragement, Mel's story will hopefully leave you inspired to live fully and embrace every moment. Mel, I'm so thrilled to have you here. Can you take us back to the beginning and just share your love for dogs and how you started showing and training them?
So I had a friend that I met I did like a virtual college for a while, and I met her on there, and she had like an all-American dog, and she was doing rally. So at the time, I only knew that rally existed. So when I saw her and her dog competing, I got really interested in it, and at the time, I had a little all-American dog too. That was my first dog. Like my personal dog, not like a family dog or anything, like my first personal dog. So I decided to see if I could find like some classes in my area. And this was when I was like, it was like 20, 21 years old, and I'm 32 now. So this was like 11 years ago. And I found some classes, started taking it, and then I got hooked and I got the bug. And that's how I found more sports. It led to obedience. And then I learned about dog diving and learned about, what else? I started learning about conformation a little later. I remember that. But rally was my first jump into the dog world.
Oh, that's great. You know, you and I met at dog shows. We've, for the last couple of years since I've been in Florida. And, I have Oliver, and you've had that beautiful giant Schnauzer Noche. And now you have, I never can pronounce his name, Vigar.
Vigar, perfect.
Vigar.
Yeah,
he's
Vigar.
He's a puppy. He was a baby when I saw him around Thanksgiving. And now he's like grown up. I saw you a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And we've been talking about doing this, having you on the show for a while. I never knew your health situation. I never knew you had part of your colon removed and that you have to wear, and you can just, correct me if I'm, an ostomy pouch. I never knew. And you run around the ring like I run around the ring with our big dogs.
But no, it's crazy.
And it's crazy. And I said, you have to come on the show. And I love that you're so willing to share. So I love how you started with the rally and confirmation. I've always been in confirmation, but I really want to do rally. So I'm going to hit you up for some advice later on.
You should. I think you would do absolutely amazing at it with Oliver. I know it. I just know it.
So if you wouldn't mind, and share only what you're comfortable with, a little bit of your health journey and what happened that led to your permanent colonostomy.
So I have a condition called dysautonomia, and it pretty much, to sum it up, it affects your autonomic nervous system. So everything that's involuntary that you can't control, it affects. And that a lot of my manifestations and symptoms that I have are mostly GI. I used to have some cardiac stuff too, but that's been pretty under control lately and everything. But during COVID, I would like to say it started around like in the middle of COVID, so like 2019, 2020. I got really sick and I was experiencing something called colonic inertia. And I had a lot of dysmotility in my system. So I was almost similar to IBS-C, but I wasn't formally diagnosed with IBS-C, just similar symptoms. I was very constipated all the time. I was having pseudo obstructions. I was dealing with everything just backing up. Very long story short, I had an ileostomy first. The idea was to give my gut like a rest and have a period where, everything just goes into a bag and bypasses the colon to try to like save the colon per se. And I ended up with sepsis, got really sick. We did like a hemicolectomy is what it was called, and removed like half of my colon and part of my small bowel. And even longer story short, after I was spent some time in the ICU and everything like that, a couple months later, we decided to just put a permanent colostomy because at that point, even after having the hemicolectomy, it wasn't really resolving a lot of my long-term issues.
Wow, that's pretty traumatic for anybody, and especially a young person like yourself.
I spent about almost 3.5 months straight in the hospital in the middle of COVID. So no visitors, and the doctors were kind of all over the place. So like, it was just very crazy to even think about, that I spent that much time in there. I remember counting down the days in the hospital and not knowing when I would get discharged was like the worst.
And you could have no visitors.
None. No visitors. So, when I was in the ICU, they did say that like one person could visit, but because I was septic and I was such high risk at that point, it was just safer. And both of my parents at the time, when my dad was alive too, they were healthcare workers. So it was too much of a risk for them to visit me. So I did FaceTime and stuff like that, and it got me by. I was sleeping most of the time, to be quite honest.
But no dog visits?
Nope. And at the time, I didn't have Noche yet. I just had my golden retriever.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't have her yet. She was like my present after surviving all of this. Oh. Her breeder, gave her to me as a gift.
Oh, what a beautiful, she's a beautiful girl. I've seen her.
I know.
She's stunning. Stunning.
Thank you. She's awesome. I love her.
So, I mean, I don't even know where to begin. Like, how did it, this is such a silly question, but it's an important one. How did it change your life? And how did you handle? I mean, I'm sure there's the emotional.
There's good and bad.
The physical, right? Like, walk us through what some of the highlights, some of the important points, and again, what you're comfortable with. Yeah.
There's good and bad. As weird as that is to say, because a lot of people don't associate a colostomy with good. It's immediately bad given the circumstances. Good because I got a lot of my freedoms back. When I got really sick, I was stuck from doctors to doctors in my house. I didn't have a good quality of life. So in a way, it gave me back a lot of my freedoms. Like now I have other concerns. There's some negatives, but I try to focus on the positives, but the negatives, it definitely makes your confidence weird for a while. Like you're very unconfident, and so it's awkward. It's an awkward thing. So you kind of, as time goes on, especially if you have a permanent, it kind of just settles. Like everything just kind of settles into place, if that makes sense.
Wow. Well, you're certainly amazing because, like I said, I've known you for a few years now, and I've seen you in action, and I would have never known. And the confidence thing, you seem very confident. And
do I?
Yes, I would have never guessed.
I'm telling you.
I'm not very confident in the ring. I'll admit that. And I'm not dealing with what you're going through. But I like I said, I was just so blown away. Now, how did it impact, your relationships, if you're married or whatever, the intimate relationships, showing dogs? Like, how did that impact on you?
I'm definitely a lot more mindful, like of my body, where I'm at, where everyone else is at. I'm paying attention more with my environment, whereas I can't really be a kind of person that's on my phone walking into Walmart looking at my phone. I mean, I can to a degree, but especially in busy environments, I really have to pay attention. So like the dog shows where it's cramped and crowded and can get hectic, I have to be paying attention to not just myself or my dog, but I have to be watching everyone else too in my environment. Relationships are pretty much still the same. Nothing has changed there. Nothing different. But my husband's like super awesome, and none of that bothers him at all. He's been with me the entire process of this from, start to end, and it doesn't bother him.
So you have a great support system. So that must be a key part of the healing and the accepting of this new situation in your life. That's huge, the support like that. I mean, kudos to him. That's just so powerful. So when you had your surgery after that and going through, I'm sure it took a long time to heal. what did it mean for your lifestyle? Like what changed and what didn't change?
What changed? A lot. Mostly just a lot of prep, a lot of preparation. Like especially if I'm going out on as an example, if I'm going out on a dog show weekend, normal people, you're just packing your clothes, your necessities. I have to pack my clothes, necessity, and all of my medical stuff. So I have to like calculate days, count the wafers, the pouches, the paste, make sure I have enough of everything. Because it's not like I can go to a Walgreens when I'm out and about and buy this stuff. Amazon does. You can Amazon Prime you some stuff. Good to know. Because there's been a couple times where I've come close at shows where I'm like, oh man, I did not pack enough bags and I have sprung like 3 leaks. It's over. And my biggest fear is just having to go to a hospital in the ER and be like, I need a pouch. Help me. You know,
in some of the towns that we're at for the dog shows, right?
Yeah.
It's like they're really like in the middle of nowhere.
That's the only other option other than posting. And I've seen people post in groups and be like, I'm on vacation and I'm here. And like a lot of times you will find someone with an ostomy in the area that comes swooping in. So that's, the online support system is there. Join 100 groups if you have to. I have seen, there's been a couple times even in my area, but other people beat me to it where they're like, I'm on vacation in Tampa and I need bags. I ran out, and like people are there to help. So like that's changed my life a lot. I have to think about stuff like that. Make sure I go wherever I'm going very well prepared, because like I said, you can't go to Walgreens and buy this stuff.
So you change the bags and you have to have a supply, and then there's, like you said, the glue or the tape or whatever.
Yeah, there's
I'm sure it's a whole process.
Yeah, it's like a wafer. The wafer's in a circle shape.
Okay.
And then for me, there's like either a 1-piece where it's the wafer plus like the pouch all in 1 piece, or I have a 2-piece system. So it's the wafer and the bag is separate, which is nice because I can change out the bag but still keep the wafer if it's still doing pretty good. So I get longevity of my supplies. And there's some people who use paste. I use paste, and sometimes they sell the rings. Like there's so much different like products and stuff and brands and different things that people can use. So
that's so interesting. I mean, like I said, I would have never guessed the way you run around the ring with a big giant schnauzer like that.
I know.
It's amazing.
It is kind of crazy to like, I don't think about it anymore. It's kind of just a part of me. So, but when I do take a step back, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm actually doing this.
Wow. And you've achieved, I think I read online, incredible success. You have more than 40 AKC titles, all while living with a permanent colostomy. I mean, that's incredible. Like, and then for people that aren't in the dog show world, it takes a lot of time to get those titles.
Yes.
Because it's not just like here, you work hard. There's the training, right? I've been through some of this too. And you did rally. That's a whole agility you've done. Just a whole bunch of, not to mention the confirmation. And during like a dog show, you go in the breed. You can be in the ring several times. Then you have the herding group. And then if you're an owner handler, which you are, you have to go in. So that's like a lot. And sometimes there could be 2 consecutive shows in the same day where you're in the ring 6 times.
Especially for the UKC shows where you're in, out, in, out, out. And, I've had a lot of success and luck with my dogs where I'm like winning UKC groups, mostly AKC. I've had a lot of placements and stuff like that, but I'm not that successful.
You're very modest. She has done great. I've seen you in action.
Not that successful, but I'm working on it. Maybe with Vigar. But you're in and out of those rings. So it's a lot of sweat, and sweat plus colostomy appliances is not the best combination in the world. That's one of the negatives of this is like you're battling the elements, the humidity and flow. I'm battling the elements. Like, normal person, you battle the elements. Your hair might get frizzy.
My hair. That's what I.
Your hair might get. Your mascara might run. Oh no! But for me, is my bag peeling off, and it's a stark I mean, I don't like to undermine people's emotions when it comes to stuff, but it's a stark difference between a little bit of hairspray and like, oh no, I need to like go change real quick.
Yeah, no, that's the reality of this. And I think we talked at the UKC show, and one of the things that I really loved about you was your sense of humor. Like you were saying, yeah, I'm really open about this, and the people in the ring look out for me. And I'm like, what do you mean? And she can describe some of those interactions, because the things that there could be things that happen to someone that doesn't have a colostomy bag, an ostomy pouch, or the ring is a very scary place for some of us at times.
Everyone's watching. Everyone's watching. If anything happens, we all I've seen a lot of falls more than anything. That's always my biggest fear is falls. I don't know. I was thinking about this question earlier, actually, when you emailed me, because it's interesting because you have so many different how people converse with the world when they have a medical thing like this. There's a lot of people who are very private. It's like voodoo to them. They don't talk about it. They don't mention it. They don't want anyone outside of their personal family or friends to know about it, which I totally respect. And then there's people kind of in the middle, and then there's people like me where in my head, the reason why I'm so outward about it and I joke about it and I just tell people off the get-go is that way. If in my head, my logical thinking is like, if something does happen, at least they know. Like if something does happen, they could be like, oh, if she has a colostomy, let me go help. Or, oh, it's no big deal. It's just an ostomy, because it makes noises. You make noises and stuff.
Oh, that's right.
Stuff like that. You got a little toot, everyone's going to hear it, just letting you know. And so that's kind of just joking about it and being funny about it is an easier door opener for me. That way, if those embarrassing moments do happen, it's not a big deal because now everyone knows.
Well, it's like, I'm like, maybe you should show Oliver, because I think that would get his attention when I'm trying to stand in the herding group. And he's like, oh, that's a bee over there. It's almost like a little squeaky toy.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think I love the sense of humor about it. And does it affect do you have to, when you talk about dietary or keeping up nutrients, to make sure that you're not deficient in anything? Because that could be a big thing, right? Because you don't have your small bowel, so there's nothing absorbed. How does that work?
I do. They had to resect part of it. It's mostly my colon. So with the colon, at least for me, because everyone's different, you don't retain water as well. So I just have to make sure I'm drinking my Gatorade. I kind of like the IV liquid stuff, the liquid IV stuff. Some of the flavors. It's just keeping your electrolytes up and keeping your hydration up for me. Nutrition, not a problem. I'm an eater. I love food.
but the hydration.
But there are some people who do struggle with keeping weight on and stuff like that with this. Me, not so much. I'm pretty much maintained now. And
that's great.
It's just the hydration is my biggest struggle more than anything, is staying hydrated.
And you have special things that you do, like you take the liquid IV and just having Gatorade and things like that.
Yeah. Just especially before a show, or if I'm going to be out, I just did Halloween Horror Nights even. And the day before I was just not going overboard with it, because you don't want to drain yourself out, but just extra hydration if I know I'm going to be running or being active.
And you can eat whatever you want. It doesn't affect anything.
For me, I have to, there's generally a list of some stuff that doctors recommend, especially in the beginning. You either try very trace amounts of it to see how your body does, like grapes. I can eat grapes all day, every day, but I have other peers with an ostomy who eat grapes and they can't digest the skin. And so it could cause an obstruction. So you see it with grapes sometimes, popcorn.
Oh, interesting. Oh.
Yeah, and some really harder green veggies. I'm pretty much okay, but I think the only food that really comes to mind that I have to be careful with is a lot of the nuts. So cashews, almonds, stuff like that, and broccoli. Broccoli is a no-go for me personally. Yeah. I just don't digest it for whatever reason, and so I just avoid it.
Well, you're definitely in tune with your body, which is so important for patients to be, and not shutting down and trying to magically know this. I don't have to worry. I think that's so important to be in tune and honest with yourself about what you can and cannot do. And there's a lot of cans. Like, you're very positive about how you approach everything. The reality is there are challenges, and you have big dogs.
I do.
So let's talk a little bit about the challenges in terms of keeping you safe, and how do you adapt when working with your dogs?
Early on as puppies, I very much emphasize like no jumping up. I think Vigar's the first dog where I let him jump up on me with my permission. But for the most part, my dogs won't jump up on me or anyone or people, because you just never know if other people, what medical devices they have and stuff like that. And the dog show world is actually really good about that in general. I haven't had any problems with people's dogs. Generally, it's very frowned upon. Like, everyone's dog has to be very well behaved. And so training them and stuff like that, I'm just a lot more mindful of my body position to them and gauging their reactions. They get too excited, I take a moment to calm them down just to minimize the risk, because there's been a couple times where I have been hit and it's not a big deal, but just that risk is always there. If I get hit too hard, something could happen to it. I don't know what exactly. I haven't had any accidents or mishaps, thank God.
No, that's great. Don't you think that the dogs sense as well?
They know it's there.
They know something. Yeah.
Yeah, they know it's there. I don't think they obviously don't understand exactly what it is.
Right.
But they can smell it. It has a smell. Not in general, but dogs' sense of smell is insane. But I'm not saying I'm a stinky girl over here.
No, it's like 600,000 times what we can smell, or something crazy like that.
A lot of the reactions I get from like stranger dogs, I notice, is just they smell it right away, and so they're just interested in it. It's a little different, it's a little weird, but then they don't care anymore, which is nice. That's usually what happens. The dog is interested for a second. It's like. And then it's like, okay, and then stops. Or I tell the dog to stop. There's a couple times where like people's dogs I meet are like fixated on it. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I have a colostomy. And I joke about it. I'm like, your dog would be great at scent work. that's my go-to joke. I'm like, your dog would be great at scent work. And then they're like, oh, thanks. Yeah,
See what I mean, ladies and gentlemen? She's very funny. She has a great sense of humor. And I think that's another important point, sense of humor, how that can carry you far through the hard times. Do you agree?
It can. Yeah. Oh, 100%. It's hard to. In the beginning, I wasn't like this. I feel like as you go through the stages and the motions of everything, because it's new to you. It's daunting because like you're dealing with fecal matter, it's scary. You always have that in the beginning, especially. I was like always afraid that it's just going to leak in public. That was like my biggest fear. It's going to leak. And I didn't want to go anywhere. And then I like got tired of just that anxiety. I was like, if it leaks, oh well, there's mops, there's bleach, there's cleaning supplies. I'll go get a change of clothes. Like reassuring myself that, even if the worst does happen, it's not something that's permanent. It's not something that, I'm forever leaking, It's just in that current moment, just getting over that embarrassment and stuff like that. And it was such a depressing way of living before. So I just worked through those emotions super quickly because I didn't want to keep living mentally that way.
Well, this brings me to my next question. I know from watching you with your dogs, and even now as we speak, you radiate such joy, especially when you're around your dogs, your girl and your boy. What do your dogs give back to you? What have they done for you in this journey?
Oh, a lot.
I love this question.
I know. I don't know. They give me a purpose every day. They rely on me and I rely on them. So I got to feed them. I got to give them water. I got to train them. And, in exchange, they just give me love, just love all the time. Love mommy. Always, Noche's always sleeping with me, like every night, glued to my side. Like to the point where I'm like, scooch over. Like, dang girl. Like we're glued at the hip. Vigar's a little bit hot and cold. You think he's just such a big dog, he gets so hot. But the winds have been great. everything's meeting new people. They've helped me meet new people, dogs, and be able to get out and like get out of my comfort zone and talk to people and meet other people who like this crazy thing that we do. They're great conversation starters because I'm not the most social. Like I seem like I am, but I'm not the best at like meeting new people. I feel like I struggle with that. My dogs kind of open that door for me. They make it easier because now we all have something we can relate to.
Running. How do you run around the ring? Like
running. You're like all the running. Oh my God.
You do so much running.
I do. I don't know. It's just, you just run. Just run. If you want to swim, go swim. I swim with it. You can do, I mean, you're not supposed to, but I do. I went to Halloween Horror Nights and I rode me some roller coasters. I had a good time. I had a great time. I was a little concerned because of the lap bar, you know, and the... But
that's right.
Yeah, with the lap, that was my biggest concern. My biggest recommendation to those who want to go to Halloween Horror Nights and theme parks and stuff like that, because I try not to skip Halloween Horror Nights. I love me some horror. I'm a horror girly, and it's October. It is time. My biggest advice is they have the test coasters at most of the front of the rides, and you have to see where your ostomy lines up. For me, I got lucky. It has no effect whatsoever.
Oh Lord.
On the rides. But I was thinking about it and talking with my friend who came down from Ohio and my husband, and I'm like, I could definitely see how if someone's placement was maybe a little higher or maybe even a little more to the left or something, you won't be able to do those things. But that's the nice thing about the theme parks is they have those test rides and you could test and see where it fits. And I like, that's what I recommend doing.
So did you have I'm thinking, you know, now Melissa, did you have a conversation with your doctor and say that you wanted to ride roller coasters and they need to put this device a certain place?
So like with my ileostomy, I woke up from a surgery. I've had an ileostomy placed. When I woke up from surgery, it was in the worst spot. It had to be reversed because it was so low that the appliance kept falling off.
Like, so for those that don't know, what is an ileostomy?
The ileostomy, I believe, I might need a fact check. It's been a while. The ileostomy is where it goes from, I think, either the middle or before your small bowel, whereas the colostomy is they take a piece of your colon. So it's like the ileostomy is higher up in your GI, where I think the colostomy is lower. So they're both the same. And then there's urostomy, which is the urine, for bladder cancer,
concept.
Stuff like that.
They put a device and it's outside.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So those are like the 3 ostomies I'm aware of. And so my ileostomy was too low. And every time I would bend over, it would just fall off. So I had leaks after leaks, and then I developed like cellulitis, and I had infections on my stomach because I wasn't able to hold an appliance. So they were like, sorry, we have to reverse this. We reversed it. We put another ileostomy, which also did the same thing.
Poor thing.
So at that point, not to throw shade, but at that point, I went to a different surgeon who I love dearly. He is my main surgeon. Now I went to a colorectal surgeon versus a general surgeon. Yes. And love him to death. Love him. And he pretty much saved my life, essentially. He put the permanent colostomy, and everything's been smooth sailing since.
So do you think that, I mean, that's a great point. Like you definitely advocated for yourself. 1 fail, then 2 fail, and you're like, no more. This is a great example for patients. Like you don't have to accept something that's going to impact your quality of life, and without getting another opinion or another look. And you did that, and that's fantastic.
Yeah, there's nothing against the first general. No. Nothing, absolutely. He's a wonderful general surgeon. It's just I just wanted someone else's opinion, and I wanted to take a different approach than the other direction. Like there's different surgeons, different surgery styles, different everything.
Now, how much say do you have as a patient where that placement is? Because, I mean, this is a real world.
Good question.
This is a great, example of just by the placement of a device could impact what you're able to do, what a
Yes.
patient is able to do.
I mean, some people do. With my colostomy, I did. We sat in his office and we looked at different placements and stuff like that, and approximately where he could go in. And then we put an appliance on for for a weekend. And he's like, "Okay, we'll test it out." I didn't even have. I at the time of my second ileostomy and my colostomy, I didn't have any ostomy. They ended up just reversing everything entirely, and I was normal again for a little bit.
Oh wow!
And when we put the colostomy, we were able to pick a spot, but that's not always the case for everyone. And sometimes even you might pick a spot and it might be the best spot ever, but they get in there and they're not able to do that spot. So there's a little bit of, depending on your health situation and circumstances, of you possibly being able to work with your surgeon to get, a good spot, but there's just always that chance is always there where it may not be. And you, as much as it sucks, this is the negative part of it, is you kind of have to play it by ear. You have to see how your ostomy works for you and go from there. I can say that it is reversible for some people, and you can move it to some degree and stuff like that, and do what I call editing. Like, you can edit it, but it's very person dependent. Depends on the person and what their circumstances are.
So Mel, one of the things that you said that really resonates with our listeners, because we've had other patients on the shows, and one of the things that people say over and over again is finding the right doctor. And, you've gone through significant challenges as you've described tonight in this episode. What is your advice for how patients can advocate for themselves, and even if it requires going to different doctors and not being afraid to really stand up for yourself and what you feel and what you want to happen in your health journey?
My biggest recommendation is, if you're not, it's such a millennial thing, but if you're not vibing, just leave. If you're not connecting with the doctor, if you don't feel like your health is going in the direction that you want, you're not getting that quality of life, there's nothing wrong with getting a second, sometimes even a third opinion. I ended up getting a second opinion, and that's the final opinion I've had. That's my doctor now. Like, I see him for any problems, and he handles all my ostomy stuff, and we really clicked, and I love him, and I can't thank him enough. He gave me my life back. He was my second opinion. I was just not having my first doctor was a general surgeon, and he's a colorectal surgeon, my new surgeon. And so he's just a little bit more familiarized than a general surgeon. This is all he focuses on, is colorectal conditions. So being able to have someone who is very familiar and comfortable and willing to look at your case like that, there's nothing wrong with trying to seek that out.
No, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, this is a relationship that you're probably going to have your whole entire life. And
yes.
It's not something that you take lightly. And especially with patients that have chronic conditions, that you guys continuously have office visits. They have to be in contact with their physician. This is a relationship that is very important. There's a lot of shared decision making, and it should be someone that you feel comfortable with, because it's going to be the best outcome for you and for the doctor as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because they want to be able to help you.
Wrong. Yeah, if anything goes wrong, generally you have to go back to the surgeon. So, and the surgeon I see is very high volume, like sees deals with a lot of cancer patients and stuff like that. So you have to keep that in mind too, that sometimes scheduling can be a little complicated, but just keeping an open relationship and being able to have that is very important.
Do you have any other advice for patients who may be going through what you've gone through, or caregivers, loved ones? What are your main tips for them?
I think my biggest advice would probably be, don't be afraid to join support groups, even if it's just on Facebook groups and stuff like that. Having that sense of community and having groups of people that you could fall back on and ask. You can't, ask questions. You can't really post on your general Facebook page or anything like that and just like your normal friend groups may not have those answers. So it's nice to fall back on the support groups. I also recommend, especially if you are, you're getting an ostomy of any sort, is have an ostomy nurse. Ostomy nurses are very undermined nurses. Not every office has them, even not every area has them. They're a little bit more of a specialized nursing field, I've noticed. They can be harder to find, but I got an ostomy nurse when I got my colostomy, and it was a life changer for learning the different things and being able to because you deal with a lot of skin problems in the beginning. Your skin adjusting to the adhesive, finding an adhesive that works for you, an appliance that maybe you may not be as itchy to, and stuff like that. And those little things I went to my ostomy nurse for versus the surgeon. And it was also easier to get into the ostomy nurse. Getting into the surgeon may be a little bit harder depending on what his schedule looks like. Whereas the ostomy nurse, I could text her a picture and be like, hey, my skin's looking this way. What are your suggestions? And so having support in general and familiarizing yourself as much as possible. It's a lot of information at first, and there's a lot of different stuff, but familiarizing and reading reviews and reading other people's, experiences does help a lot.
Yeah, you're definitely not alone. And I think that's a big thing to really understand, is that there's many people that are going through similar situations and that can really lift each other up. And we actually did do a really great podcast episode with an ostomy nurse a year or so ago. We'll put the link to that. For those who are not dog show enthusiasts or would like to learn more, check out the AKC. I think it's akc.org. There's the UKC United Kennel Club. There's ways that you can participate in a lot of the rally obedience, the dock diving, even if you don't have I know they have the pet program and different things, but definitely check out the AKC website and UKC for all the different things you can do with your dog. Dog showing is a sport. Melissa is an athlete, and she's been so inspiring. She's been so inspiring in showing how you can live your life to the fullest with colostomy. And we really appreciate you coming on the show. Thank you so much. Your journey is such an incredible reminder of strength and resilience that we all should carry within us. The way you found joy, connection, and purpose through your dogs, and how you continue to thrive while managing the challenges of a permanent colostomy is, again, truly inspiring. And to our listeners, I hope Melissa's story encourages you to live fully, no matter what the obstacles are in your path, whether it's pursuing a passion, building resilience, or simply finding joy in small moments. Her message rings clear. There are always ways forward. If you enjoyed today's episode of the Gastro Girl Podcast, please share it with someone who could use a dose of encouragement. And don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss future conversations that will uplift, inform, and inspire you. And thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Gastro Girl Podcast. For more information and resources, please visit gastrogirl.com. Do you have a question for Gastro Girl? Please email podcast@gastrogirl.com. The information, opinions, and recommendations presented in the Gastro Girl Podcast are not a substitute for medical advice from your healthcare professional. Please consult a licensed clinician in your state regarding all matters related to your health.